D-Lo for boxing. So the news is that Canelo Alvarez has an offer on the table to fight Jermall Charlo. Now we know this fight, you know what I'm saying, the potential of this fight being made dates back, you know what I'm saying, the better part of a decade, if not a little longer. I mean, goes all the way back to when these guys were at 154 together. So not quite a decade, but you know what I'm saying, definitely, you know, these guys have been near the top of their divisions simultaneously many times over the past several years, since their time at 154 pounds. We all know about Jermall Charlo moving into the mandatory position for the WBC. Canelo Alvarez eventually becoming WBC champion, and you know, basically getting a pass and being awarded this franchise distinction, and Jermall Charlo being awarded the WBC championship, the WBC belt. We know that before Canelo was in the picture, Jermall Charlo was Triple G's mandatory, and he didn't get any play there as well. So, you know, back then, man, I was 100% on board, 100 miles and running. Want to see a fight between Jermall Charlo and Triple G, or Jermall Charlo and Canelo. If we get the fight next, I'm definitely not going to crap on it. I'm definitely interested in the fight, but I'm not. My interest has waned somewhat over the years. Quite frankly, I just don't have the anticipation for the fight that I once had. And I guess that's something that happens when, you know, something just doesn't happen after a certain period of time. Maybe I don't see the two fighters as I once did. I definitely have cooled on Canelo a lot since that time, and quite frankly, I've cooled on Jermall Charlo as well. And I'm hoping that what the two guys bring to the table will bring out the best of one another should they end up having a fight. I'm not going to sit here and act as if I believe 100% that they're going to have a fight just because you know, people are talking about it, or just because that's what you know, that's what the rumor is. I'm also seeing that Bivol, there's an offer on the table from the Zone for Canelo to fight Bivol, and then should he beat Bivol, or maybe even if he loses to Bivol, to fight, because Bivol would more than likely be above the super middleweight limit, and then he get an opportunity to come back to 168 and defend at least a portion of his undisputed championship versus Triple G at 168, supposedly. At the same time, Triple G got Marauder problems that, you know, he voluntarily raised his hand for that nobody was asking for. But I didn't, you know, it's not as a unification, so I don't have an issue with it, other than the fact that those two chumps have basically sat on the shelf over a year, going on a year and a half, afraid to fight anybody else because they don't have confidence they can beat another good fighter on the way to their unification bout. So with all of that being the case, and that being said, I basically, if you ask me of the other options that Canelo has, I'd rather see him fight Jermall Charlo than go up to 175 and fight Bivol at this point. There was a time that was a fight I wanted to see, but that was around the time when Canelo decided. The only reason I wanted to see it because Canelo said he was going to 175 for a championship, and I was like, okay, you got Bivol, you got Vosic, and you got, or Godsick, however you say it, and you got Beterbiev up there holding titles, but Canelo elected to fight the weakest champion up there in Sergey Kovalev, who was essentially ducking all of those other three guys I just said. And since that time, Beterbiev has unified with Vosic, took his belt, and then you know, you got Bivol still out there with a belt, and now Joe Smith Jr. has the WBO belt. So if you ask me, the time for the Beterbiev fight would have been when Canelo fought the Crusher. As for the fight with Triple G, I am so far past wanting to see a third fight between them that is ridiculous. I actually never really cared to see a third fight. And quite frankly, I've said this before and I'll say it again. The the rematch between Canelo and Triple G was probably one of the first fights between two marquee fighters that was a rematch of a draw that I had no interest in seeing. And the reason was because the way they built up that first fight and the way the fight played out, I felt let down. I also felt like Triple G won the fight but got robbed, but even that wasn't enough of enough motivation for me to want to see the second fight. And then when the second fight did happen, you know what I'm saying, I still felt like that fight wasn't much better than the first. Canelo engaged more, but I just didn't, you know what I'm saying, like it just wasn't edge of my seat action that I would expect out of two fighters of the stature or status that they were supposed to be at that time. As for Jermall Charlo, he definitely left a lot to be desired versus Montiel. It was a really good fight, but it wasn't supposed to be that type of fight. If Jermall Charlo is who I thought he was, or I think he is, he gets rid of guys like Montiel. Even if he doesn't stop him, I think he thoroughly goes out there and just puts on a masterclass of boxing and doesn't get hit as often as he got hit in that fight. And that's what concerns me about him. Is there slippage, or is it just that how some fighters fight the same type fighters or don't get the fights they wanted, and then they end up fighting down to the competition or whatever the case may be. So, like I said, I would have loved to see, actually, in all the time since Jermall has been on the shelf, I would have loved to see him run it back with Montiel, to be honest, and see if he could do it better. I think that would help his stock going into a Canelo fight. I mean, I just don't think the fight is as big as it would have been. But at the same time, the people who are putting the money up for the fight, that are offering the money for the fight, they think it's a huge fight. So we'll see. What do I know? Because I didn't think Plant versus Canelo was a big fight, but apparently it reportedly done well. So, we'll see. Hopefully this fight does happen, because it's like I said, I'm not as up for it as I once was, but I think it's an opportunity that Jermall Charlo has worked for a long time, has asked for. He put himself in position long ago to get the fight and didn't get it. So I'm all for him getting that opportunity in 2022 if it presents itself. And I'll support the I'll support the fight by putting out content, speaking on it. You know what I'm saying? And I'll eventually, get around to watching it. But I'm not gonna break my back or peel out some nuggets to watch a fight that I really am not really eager to watch right now. But that's all I got on it. D-Lo 404 Boxing. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Catch all on the next one. My peace.